Parents of Reddit, what was the best lie that your child has told you that you knew was a lie but wanted to see how big of a hole they would put themselves in? My stepson is in that 13-year-old boy phase where he is both smelly and averse to showering. We are a family of pranksters. A few months ago my husband and I replaced his body wash with pancake syrup. He came home from basketball practice super sweaty, didn't shower, went to bed, didn't shower. 24 hours later, we asked, did you shower? Yep, he says. The sweet, smelly boy went another 1/2 day until he finally got to shampoo with pancake syrup. My 6-year-old once told me only Australia has deer. We passed a deer on the way home and I asked her, what about that one? Daughter, oh, no, that one is just a cow, pretending. They do that sometimes. Fun fact, Australia is the only continent without an established indigenous deer population. So, the exact opposite. My son was about 7. After finally getting his attention I asked, didn't you hear me calling you? He said not the first 2 times. When my son was about 5 he got in trouble in school for holding another student in the bathroom. We asked him to explain why he did this, in the most serious 5-year-old voice and giving a performance worthy of a Broadway play, and he explained it this way. I was trying to go to the bathroom, I really had to go. I didn't realize she was in there and I went to grab the doorknob, I guess just as she grabbed it trying to get out. I thought the door was stuck and kept pulling on it, and I guess she kept pulling on it to get out. So I wasn't holding her in. We were both trying to open the door at the same time. It was an amazing on the fly lie, was semi-plausible and delivered like a solid sociopathic pro. I was impressed. When my daughter was about 5, I left a cake on the counter in a box. She woke up early and ate like half of it with her hands. When I confronted her about it, she blamed it on Jesus. I had to explain to her that it was against his character. She's 12 now. I still tease her about it. My little brother was turning 10 years old and while he was at school there were a bunch of gifts delivered from our out-of-town family. I stacked all of his gifts in the living room and as soon as he walked in I said, it looks like you really made out. He turned bright red and said no. We just held hands. We all started laughing so hard and he ran out crying. He busted himself. He's 22 now and still hasn't lived it down. Daddy, I didn't mean to drop the remote in the aquarium, but the fish wanted to watch Nemo. Out of nowhere today my dad brought up a time when I was 16. I got my license and inherited a sweet 1993 Plymouth Voyager van. My dad asked me why I took out the middle seats in the van and replaced them with 2 sleeping bags and pillows. I told him I was trying to be safe because I have a long history of falling asleep in cars and wanted to make sure I had a backup plan in case I got tired while driving to pull over and sleep. He was okay with the answer. It was the perfect lie, apparently. He went inside and immediately had a good laugh about it with my mom. It was clearly to hook up with my girlfriend at the time. One time when I was a kid I distinctly recall my mother accusing me of blowing out a candle and playing in the wax with my fingers, which I totally freaking did and still do. So I say it was my big brother. Mom, big brother is at grandma's house. Me, he did it yesterday. Mom, the candle wouldn't be melty, it just happened. Me, it was the doggy. Mom, the doggy can't go whoosh, blow out a candle, and she doesn't have any fingers. Me, shhhhhh. Don't say that, you'll hurt her feelings. When my oldest son was in 8th grade, he decided to make money by doing his classmates' homework. I knew something was up because he spent an extraordinary time doing homework, while his twin sister who shared some classes with him, didn't. He would be up until nearly midnight doing homework. It seemed weird and when I would question him about it, he would just make up odd excuses. I found money in his pockets while doing laundry and since he didn't have a job, that didn't sit right. I asked my younger son if he knew why his brother had money in his pocket and he told me what was up. He was apparently paying his brother and sister as well to keep quiet. After I found out, I told my son that I was going to call his teachers and see why he was being given so much homework. My son immediately told me not to do that, so I told him that I wouldn't call. Instead, the following day when I drove the kids to school, I got out of the car with my son and told him that I wanted to talk to the principal in person. I told my son that his teachers were being absolutely ridiculous and I had to go above them if I wanted anything to be done. My son confessed before we got to the school. Before anyone says it, I am not the type of parent to go to the principal or teachers over homework. I wasn't actually going to it, just wanted to frighten my son. Your kid was a regular kingpin, paying off people and everything. When my older brother was in preschool, he told the teacher that we had a pet duck. Apparently he had also told her what we fed it, where we kept it, how we walked it and a bunch of other BS. He even offered to bring it in for the other kids to see. We did not have a pet duck in our little suburban home. I don't know if it was actually convincing or if the teacher knew he was lying, but they asked my parents about it. Now, my brother was their first child, so I think they panicked at the idea of their kid lying so elaborately to a teacher. Long story short, they borrowed a duck from a friend of theirs who worked part-time on a farm. My brother brought it into class and lied to all of his classmates about his pet duck, with visual evidence. The duck also bit one of the girls, so he even got out of ever having to bring it in again. I have 2 boys, but the story I'm about to tell you is from my childhood. My grandparents owned a mom-and-pop grocery store deli when I was a kid, and their apartment was on the 2nd and 3rd floor of the building. My mother worked for them, so at the age of 6+ I would routinely be left to my own devices upstairs while they put away deliveries, worked out customer issues, etc. Yay, 1980s. My grandparents also had a Papillon dog named Princess. Princess was the devil incarnate. One day they left me alone to go sort something out downstairs. They said to me, behave up here and keep an eye on the dog. Easy enough. No. About 10 minutes later they hear a big commotion upstairs and I come rushing down the stairs to the storefront. The conversation went as follows. Grandmother, what was all that noise just now? Me. Well, you won't believe it, but Princess broke the lamp. The lamp sat on an end table near the couch. G. How did Princess break the lamp? M. She just ran and it broke. Clearly, there was something else afoot here. So together we go upstairs. Upon reaching the top of the stairs, me grandmother sees the lamp in pieces and the dog tethered to the lamp with a leash. Apparently I didn't want to have to go very far to keep an eye on her, so I figured the lamp would make a great anchor point. Technically not a lie, but definitely not the truth. As a preschool teacher, I like to just let the stories get crazier through suggestion. So it wasn't you? Do you think it was Bill? Yeah, it was him. Did you see Bill do it? Yeah, it was today before you got here. Bill isn't here today, and not in this class. It wasn't me though. 20 years before I took the bar exam, when my first grade teacher said a little birdie told her I was throwing snowballs during recess, I informed her that was only circumstantial evidence. She laughed her butt off as she marched me down to the principal's office and called my mom. I came home and could smell a familiar smell from my youth. Marijuana smoke. I asked my daughter if she had been smoking marijuana and she flat out denied it. I decided to try and scare her into telling me the truth. One of our smoke detectors had been chirping, indicating it needed a batter change. I told my wife loudly it must be detecting marijuana smoke. It only chirps like that when it detects marijuana smoke. I then looked at my daughter and she went bright red. I asked her was there a reason why it was chirping? She finally admitted it. When I overheard her telling her friend that we have special drug detecting smoke detectors in our house, I had to stifle my laugh. When my daughter was about 3, she learned that her name started with a T and even learned how to print the letter. One day I go upstairs and find a bunch of T's written on the wall about 2 feet off the ground in black Sharpie. I asked if she knew how they got there. She thought about it for a few seconds and then told me with a straight face, I think the dog did it. She was adamant that it was the dog even when I pointed out that she had black marker on her fingers. I sent her to her room for a timeout and as she walked away I could see the Sharpie sticking out of the back of her pants. I had to go to lock myself in the bathroom because I didn't want her to see me laughing. Part of her punishment was to try and get it off the wall, which is how Sharpies became never come off till you die markers. I don't have children, but I remember a lie my sister told me when we were kids. I was about 7 years old, which puts my sister around 5. I had just bought this fabulous new Barbie doll from a garage sale. It was a special edition Jasmine doll from Aladdin, practically brand new. I took really good care of it. I brushed her hair every day, put it away in a separate bin for safekeeping, the whole 9 yards. Then, one day, I get the doll out and she has had all of her hair cut off. I immediately get mad and start yelling at my sister. She acted all indignant and came back with this gem. I didn't cut her hair. Mom did it. Of course I couldn't confront my mom about it and I had no evidence that she didn't do it. Plus, my sister seemed so offended that I would accuse her, so I believed her. My son is 4. I told him to go get dressed one morning. He ran away, goes to his room, comes back like a half hour later and he's wearing about 20 t-shirts all on top of each other, so his upper body looks huge, and then has a pair of shorts on. I tried not to laugh, then says to me, "Daddy, I put on my clothes and I have underwear on." And he had this sly grin. Obviously, he didn't have any on, and I don't know what the top part was about, so I said, "And how many shirts do you have on, buddy?" "Just one." So we played for a while and finally he said he needed to go to the washroom. He walks out of the room. So I walk into the hallway and it turns out he didn't close the door. He's got his pants around his ankles and he's peeing, standing up, which surprised me, but I noticed no underwear too. Plus his upper body looked huge. He was pretty funny to see. So I said, "Dude, you gotta close the door, especially since I saw you were lying about wearing underwear." He said, "No daddy, I'm wearing underwear, you just can't see them." So I said, "Sure you are," and closed the door for him. He comes back into the living room and proceeds to take off layer after layer of shirt, piling them on the floor. I was pretty much not sure what the heck he was up to, but he seemed to be having fun. Anyways, he puts like 20 or 25 shirts down and finally pulls off the second last one and a freaking pair of underwear fall out and on the floor, and he points at them and says, "See daddy, I was wearing underwear." I was dumbfounded. He still lied about having only one shirt on though. You have been spotted by the rare flying floofer. If you comment "good boy" below, he don't steal your hot dogs anymore. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.